Is your completed draft. Game 2, Donova Brigada looks to come back against Busk no GG. We saw an early Bloodlust kill too. We'll have to wait and see if anybody gets revenge from that. Early Ward of Sight coming out into the jungle by Rally. Uses his TP to get in position early. So far, it just seems like Geomancer's heading down to that bottom lane. More and more, we're seeing this this 2-2-1 used by Donova. So this time, they're going to give Anal the safe lane by himself. Potentially running a tri-lane from the looks of it right now. Level 1 Conqueror attempt? Just kidding.
Now I will catch my quarry.
But similar fashion to the last game's laning, we're going to see what you got and Sat grouped up together. A mean combo when Pebbles has infinite mana and a follow-up stun. I mean, that is deadly if they can get off to a good start and get some levels. Gladiator's a decent hero to deal with this. He can kind of hang back, just use that flagellation, get some creep kills, but still, it's almost dangerous for any hero to go up against a lane like Pebbles and Amphora. So keep an eye on that for some tight action. In the bottom lane, it's going to be CD and Rally taking on that Geomancer. I want to say that the laning phase is looking a little bit better for Busk no GG, but there's always the chance for rotations to happen. It's just one of these lanes that Balfagor should be able to get whatever he wants, you know, at the very least, just get some experience. But we are going to see Gladiator being completely boxed out of the lane, harassed, and Satellitium landing every deny so far on the wave. Expect for that to continue for some time. Rally compels onto the bottom lane, and they already lead in with an Electric Tide as well. Level 1 combos taking Geo down quite a bit to make sure he feels the fear of this lane. Andromeda looking to get some interesting positioning here. Maybe get in range for a Comet. The arrow connects onto Balfagor. But mostly just harassment. And I see that, like, what they're doing here. Magma's going to pull and take the small camp. Get whatever experience he can. And basically keep this lane so Balfagor has nowhere safe to stand. Well played on the lane positioning there by the Legion side. Relentless harassment still coming out by Nymphora. She actually takes a lot of damage there. But she should be able to afford the regen. And the fact that Gladiator has only 2 last hits at this point, I'd say this lane is going pretty effectively. In the bottom lane, Geomancer in big trouble. Saves Dig, though. Gets out. He is completely out of regen. He's going to have some delivered as soon as possible. But he is not exactly able to afford it. They're going to stack on the top rune here. Legion side, hoping for some kind of miracle rune. Maybe make a move on mid. They pick up Merrick's. Rally finds a double damage in the bottom. Probably ask Pebbles if he wants to leave that for him. It's so early. I don't even know if Pebbles wants to leave this lane because it's so advantageous for him to stay in it. They do look to set something up, though, as Andromeda and Magnus are nearby. I don't know if that Novi's... Oh, there is a ward on the lower part of the river, so... Don't know if it's seen him, but they're playing safe enough where they're going to be okay. Balfagor up here against a solo Valkyrie. He's able to get some minions out. See, Valkyrie wanted to set up an arrow, but he's doing a good job micromanaging those creeps and keeping himself protected. But the Lava Surge into the call down of the Valkyrie. Big damage coming out of the Balfagor. Andromeda trying to get in room for the Comet stun. Will hold him down. Cherry Popper Bloodlust goes to Puppet Soul. And nice. Balfagor played it so safe last game, not having the same luck here. Got a little bit greedy, pushing down into the forest. I'm not quite sure what he was aiming for there. In the bottom lane, they are pressuring Geomancer. The compel is not timed right. Instead, he eats the dig. That damage and vulnerability coming in clutch for the Geo. So despite being completely boxed out of the lane, Balfagor, uh-oh, top lane, big trouble. He doesn't matter what Woodsy, doesn't matter his safe positioning. Somehow, the whole team ends up top waiting for him. They do get a little bit of damage from the tower, so costly for them, but not having the greatest time, much like the Gladiator, who boxed out of the lane, level 4. Gonna retreat to the jungle. In the meantime, we got rotations up top. A lot of contention for this 4-minute rune here. Magma's trying to pick a Lava Surge target. Instead, it's Andromeda that's going to come down with the arrow. 5 seconds onto Pebbles. It's only a Merrick's rune, so this whole battle was for nothing. But we'll see if what they can come up with. Everybody's so low, but they just don't have enough to finish it off. Stun pod in 1 second. But a hasted Gladiator coming into the mix. Pebbles is going to get punished here. The pod does not connect. Nymphora running for her life. She had to choose between the two skills. She chose the pod and no stun to save herself. This is exactly what Legion team was hoping for. In the bottom lane, they do get a kill on the Geo, so points on the board now for Busk no GG, and still in great shape as the Corrupted Disciples top farm in the game. 430 GPM. But definitely Gladiator more than happy to take those kills. That took him from under 180 to over 300 GPM and some well-needed experience. We'll be seeing Call to Arms very shortly available if he decides to grab it. Way down on the totem pole, though, is this level 2 rally. That being said, Compel is still nice at all levels. Same distance, just a little bit shorter of a stun duration. They are relentless on Balfagor in the top lane. He wanted to go over and try to get the pull, but instead he's going to eat a Comet into a Lava Surge. And now Valkyrie comes in to clean up the mess. Steal that kill credit. And this is not the position that we saw Doze in last game. It was a much more safe, guarded position. Again, he was getting what he wanted. Maybe that put a little bit of greed in his heart. I mean, his positioning hasn't been that bad since the first death, but they've been punishing it nonetheless. So great job by Legion team keeping up the pressure here. They're going to use that farm, put a power supply onto Valkyrie. Blood Chalice onto Magnus, who's now bottled up an invisibility rune that he borrowed from the Valk. A level 2 Lava Surge into a Steam Bath does a lot of damage at this point to pretty much any target they may want to prioritize. It's been working on Balfagor, but they do need to pay a little attention. This Corrupted Disciple's got his Steam Boots. He's now level 7. And he could go... He's one of those heroes that could run away with this game if they ignore him up the top lane. The Balfagor dies. Part 4. Man, these sequels. Uh-oh, Geomancer throws out the Earth Grasp, trying to get a little bit of golden harassment. Rally Compel comes in. But Corrupted Disciple he can't get any attacks off for some reason. Onto the Geomancer. Maybe the Tree Vision, or he's just waiting for that Conduit, but look at that. A long-range dig, keeping him alive. Rally's going to chase with the Compel. He's not quite in range, as he doesn't even have boots yet. So, meanwhile, it looks like the top lane, Nymph and Pebbles on the move. Pebbles grabbing 1 point into Enlarge, but he still does a good bit of damage with that combo. And able to farm up the jungle camp and stay relatively topped off thanks to the Nymphora's grace. Only level 1 at this point, though. Very action-packed. 7 kills, 7 minutes. Both teams making it difficult. Completely different than what we saw last game, which was kind of a passive farm fest for the first half of the game. Like to take that top tower as they've dominated this lane pretty heavily. Valkyrie leaping in. Lava Surge following up with the Valkyrie arrow. Lands for 4 seconds. Balfagor still kind of tanky, but if that Comet stun lands, there goes the late TP pod to try to save him. I mean, at this point, it's kind of just a lost cause. Balfagor just needs to hit that level 6, linger back in a team fight, and just at least be there for one of these 1 engagements. He can get back into this game, much like Gladiator has. Gladiator picking up those Ghost Marchers. He's got the maxed out flagellation, so He actually does a decent amount of damage, and it's kind of hard for Pebbles to stay in the lane with him without his partner. Magnus rotating in. There's a lot of people collapsing on here. Celadium's got the... He's got the illusion rune in his bottle, but for some reason he didn't get it activated that whole time. And Mina saved him from the arrow. Perhaps a misplay by Sat. And Legion team starting that snowball. It's one of those things. Valkyrie's Prism being used at the right moments in both of these games to set up big rotations. And they're making the most out of these pickoffs too. We see massive damage coming out onto the tier 1 mid tower. And Hellborn team just a little bit slow to react to all of these things. It's like they were not ready for this fight. They wanted to wait a little bit longer. Now Pebbles was having such a good time in the beginning that you get comfortable. But it goes a Magnus, Lava Surge stun. The follow-up arrow is this time going to get eaten by the illusions, but a lot of damage coming out. The Rally Compel is very nice. Puts Pebbles in a nice position to back off. Valkyrie leaps away, but the two-man Lava Surge comes in. Balfagor gets poor man's portal keyed in. Drops Newerth's hell down. I don't know if anybody was left standing for it, but just an idea of what you can do. Balfagor soaks up a little bit of experience there. They only lose the rally. They slow down this Magnus from getting his portal key just a little bit. Really, though, right now, the problem looks to be Valkyrie. They're going to activate another Prism here. I see no Revelation wards on the ground except in the jungle for the Hellborn team, so Pebbles could be in trouble here. Valkyrie reveals herself with an auto attack. Not sure if that's intentional or bait, but they do rotate. What you got is in trouble. Gets Comet stunned into the pitfall. He's going to be gone. Balfagor's like, maybe I shouldn't be farming here. Instead, Pebbles a little bit greedy. He's playing forward. That's a wild arrow thrown out by Valkyrie. Code, he just didn't have the toss off a cooldown. Looks like he's been using it to farm. You know, his hero just wants to rush into that portal key before these heroes get too much experience. And here we go. Balfagor comes in with a little bit of a silence. Pebbles does his best he can to stun and then slow down the damage, but it's a little bit too much. And really, what does the Hellborn team have right now? That Compel comes in. The Valkyrie kill would be huge here, but she's got that leap in her back pocket. And there it goes. Geomancer, though, going to come in. Nice Pebbles by stun, but he's getting line stun from every which way. Eats the dig, tosses it back, gets another Lava Surge. They'll get the Geomancer here in exchange, but comes at a cost. Sat having such a great start now. The blink is slowed down, and every second that gets delayed, the less effective his hero becomes. It's really on this corrupted disciple. We see the farm he has, and he has been putting out damage in these team fights, but it's just not bursty enough yet. So many ways for the Legion team to disengage from these fights. Hellborn team just probably needs a little bit more time to kind of get their composure together. Let's see what Legion team does. A nice arrow connecting onto Nymphora. I mean, you can't deny the amount of 5-second arrows we've seen already. Slash accuracy on this Valkyrie. Pretty insane. Now in the meanwhile, a haste rune bottled up onto the Gladiator. The rune control has kind of come in handy for them too this game. They've kind of made it a priority. And I gotta say, it's paying off. 2,500 gold lead. Let's see if we can. That Gladiator's actually surpassed Pebbles at this point. It being level 9. Magnus standing him in with the taunt. Well, didn't see what happened there, but I see the arrows on cooldown, and Puppet Soul advances to 10-0, and now the Valkyrie Prism used. This time in clear sight of everybody, so not exactly sure if that's going to mask anything, but the Gladiator TP to mid, Lava Surge stun. Here comes the Pitfall and the Call to Arms, likely to follow up. There it goes. The pod going to keep Pebbles alive, at least for the time being. Yes, fills him back up to complete full health. They want to get a turn kill here, and that's it. CD pouring in the damage. Gladiator falls, and that's a costly death for them. Puppet Soul next on that Valkyrie gets away with 100 HP after that mana battery activation. That was a nice little bit of a rotation and a flip-flop by the Hellborn. And look at this, even despite being down quite a bit, making quick work. The minions, the toss damage, and a catapult. Mid-tower will go down, evening up a little bit of that map advantage, and that will spell portal key for Pebbles and a light brand completed on the Corrupted Disciple. And this portal key, a little bit delayed, more than he hoped, but he didn't rush it, you know. Steam boots, power supply. He's still in a great position where this Valkyrie, with all the gold she's amassed, has gone with an extremely greedy build. Top farm in the game, but still sitting on 800 HP. And against the Pebbles, that is not... That seems like something that they're going to notice and punish big time. She does have a little bit of gold in her pocket. That being said, 2,000. We'll see where that quick blade goes. If it goes in anything into survivability, you know, out of the line of sight of Pebbles Nymphora. Right now, Geomancer taking heavy damage from the little minions here, but he's got a bottle of his own. He's going to chug that right back up. Rally with a Veiled Rot in the area. So we see... And, oh, we got this nice ward in the Legion jungle by what she got as well. Nymphora is going to drop a TP. Where do they go? They go into the jungle. Behind Rally. Gladiator, the obvious target, and he's got nobody nearby. Oh, no, the Compel misses. Blink stun onto Pebbles. Gladiator, they do make quick work of that, though. These were massively quick rotations by the Legion team, but Hellborn, very smart to go down and back out of there. Valkyrie Prism activated, so fully on the Spidey sense. I'd like to see somebody pick up some dust, perhaps, on this Hellborn team, or a Rev Ward, perhaps. But it's taken a turn for the better for the Hellborn team. It was looking pretty scary there for a little second. We've seen it's still a 10-0 Valkyrie, but the snowballing seems to have slowed down a bit, and Hellborn's regained their composure. Everybody's got their levels back up there. Balfagor, he's kind of, you know, had one of the worst possible lanes you could have. You win 0-6. He barely got to soak any experience, but he's found his way to level 8. He's got 4 points in corpse conversion, so he is explosive ultimate, and he can push towers if his team can somehow pull out a win. He's doing his job. Rally's doing his best to get back in the action here. Stride and dirty. Those compels, and yeah, looks like a glowstone pickup on the Pebbles. Going to be going into that Staff of the Master right away. Corrupted Disciple with a Mighty Blade. Might be looking for that early BKB. There are so many stuns on this Legion side that it's going to be a necessity. Valkyrie goes for the Nullifier Blade and not for a Thunderclaw or a farming item. So we'll see if she can keep up the pace that she's set with this farming. That Nullifier Blade, I'm not sure that I love it here. Not a ton of debuffs that you would want to purge off yourself. And not the type of team that's going to be running away from you. I think Hellborn team, if you engage on them, they're going to be running at you. So you're not going to be able to use the Nullifier Blade to chase. In the middle lane, they do catch Andromeda. That's that Nymphora's teleport coming into play, perhaps. I was looking at the items, so I didn't exactly see where that boiled down. But Andromeda basically out in no man's lane warding. Gets punished. See Rally in position with the Seismic Slam ready. A Valkyrie Prism activated. No Revelation wards in the area. This could be trouble for Pebbles. He's going to get double stunned and completely melted down. The Compelled a corpse there. Rally should have saved it for yourself. Seismic Slam uphill with the timing, trying to catch Magnus in the face, knowing that's some game sense there. Slaskay knew that he was going to die here. That being said, he had the power supply and the Compel coming off cooldown. Maybe could have made them waste a little bit more time chasing, but that's basically how you want to see Valkyrie play it with this greedy build. Only initiate with prisms and hope that the there you go, Valkyrie has another arrow up in the top lane. Not quite sure what Nymphora was doing up there with 0 mana though. So well played here. Balfagor activating his Energizer and minions, but thwarted by a simple Steam Bath. It just annihilates the creep wave, but there they go. Hell on Newerth used. But a nice kill. I mean, Magnus has his portal key now, though. It looks like he bought that right before dying, I want to say. Pebbles trying to keep the memento up. He's got this Blink Dagger. His targets, though, are getting slimmer. We see more agility items being stacked onto the Valkyrie. It's another Quick Blade pickup. So this could be turning most likely into a Firebrand. I think that's pretty much the only option. And then into a Geo's Bane. Pretty standard build for her, but again, very squishy. We see her staying in the jungle. I know I'm going on about this, but at some point she's gonna have to step out and take a fight. And if they prioritize it, she's gonna go down. She is 25% of the hero damage on her team. Only thing in her favor is there are so many other frontline options. Gladiator, Geo, and Magnus. That is one hell of a line. You get to stay back until you're ready to go in. But here we go. The Valkyrie Prism activated. Pebbles walks right by Pebbles. Don't know if she saw him, but it seems like maybe they did. The leap going to be activated. They're running away. They didn't like the smell of that. Even though that could have been really bad for Pebbles for a second. Arrow going in. Surprise. No feeler arrows thrown out during that Prism. Positioning definitely going to be key for Puppet Soul, but he's showing that he is a top-tier player today. $20-minute rune. Didn't see what it was or who got it, but Veldra activated on both Pebbles. Here he comes, and he leaps in. He finds Andromeda and the Balfagor ultimate to follow up here. Magnus is getting shut down. All of his abilities on cooldown. There he goes, channeling the eruption. But he's getting hit by the Balfagor minions. He cannot blink into position. So that gets wasted. Only Balfagor falls for the Hellborn team. And only Andromeda for the Legion. Nice dig stun on a rally, but compels himself out of the arrow positioning. Prism activated. No. Hearing things. Nice. Perfect timing. Ballsy play. Slaske on his game right now. Not showboating, no big seismic slams, but a lot of other nice plays here. Getting the job done, extending the game. Gold lead doesn't get closer than this, folks. It was just a 19 gold differential at 20 minutes, 18 to 10. Just goes to show that Hellborn team's not matching them in kills anymore, but they are splitting up. They are getting a lot of gold out of the map. Another tower about to fall in top, and Puppet Soul doesn't even go for the deny. Playing it safe as he needs to, being 12-0. Bottom lane, though. Nymphora potting herself, keeping herself alive, and Corrupted Disciple. Uh-oh. Oh, activating that. Oh, that is a superior stun. On the call to arms, it looked like he got stunned through the BKB. I don't know what I saw there. Anyways, they're going to rotate down. Veiled Rot activating on Pebbles. I love this. Satellitium knows what he has to do. He knows he has to keep this pressure up. He's just having a hard time finding targets, and the Valkyrie is the target. It's just there's no vision really in the area. They're playing so safe. And Novi Pirate has this big ward up in the bottom river area. And also one in the mid lane. That's actually excellent vision coming out by Andromeda. We saw it died a couple times all in no man's land. That was the reason to get this beautiful vision out. So the Legion team has great tabs on what Hellborn's doing right now. They can see that they're fully grouped up in the mid lane. Rally's showing. Let's see what they do with this information. Valkyrie does on a teleport. She's going to go top. But yeah, there's now a barrier idol on Gladiator. So he's pretty much gotten to that point where he's going to be ignored in these team fights. Blink dig onto Pebbles. This is not what you want. You want to be the initiator. You don't want to be jumped on. Fortunately, they don't coordinate their skills very well. And Sat gets away with what should have been an easy, quick pick on him. Balfagor biding his time, though. He's got the Energizer. He picked up vestments of himself so he can really get in the mix. Build up those charges. Be those frontliners. Also a casual Ring of the Teacher. Costs a lot of mana summoning those minions non-stop. Here they go. They're going to go for a Kongor attempt. It's fun. It's always funny when both teams kind of get that idea, but Legion team is well aware of this Kongor attempt. They couldn't know how fast it's being accomplished, but it looks like instead of contesting it, they will go for one of their own. All the while, Magnus, there's the Valkyrie Prism activated though. Magnus going to get in position to maybe snipe out some lower HP heroes as they exit the Kongor pit. And there's a haste rune bottled up by Pebbles. Magnus channeling the Eruption Lava Surge combo. Unfortunately, everybody had just backed out of the pit, and only Balfagor takes the hit. It's probably the one hero who could survive it with those vestments. Legion team take out their Kongor. Hellborn get Kongor plus a little bit of a bonus. Got to admire the Magnus play. That could have been a blind beauty, but the card's just not in his favor. So everybody just backed out. I don't think they had vision either. That was kind of just how the cards played out. But they're going to get a nice triple stack here. Divvy up the gold between a few of them. Valkyrie helping hand. Let me hold that dragon in place for you. But at the very least, if they're paying attention, that should... 2 attempts on them in their own jungle. They should figure out that there's some wards. What you got actually does have a D ward up. But I guess they don't have vision on that pillar, because the Observer ward remains. Bottom lane, Pebbles, Nymphora, Balfagor porting in. Or just Pebbles, Balfagor. All that's needed. Dig, follow up onto Pebbles. Drops that Crystalline Field. And you can't blame him. It doesn't connect, but Geomancer hasn't really had a chance to cast it. He's been setting up these nice stuns. Pebbles afraid to get in range for that toss combo. Gladiator dropping the Pitfall. Threatening the Pitfall. And Geomancer's been holding onto that ultimate, I feel like, all game. So he just had to get one off. It's not even a long cooldown. Hellborn coming back into their place now. They were on the bit of the back foot, and I was worried about Pebbles finding his effectiveness, but he's got that Staff of the Master now. Now it's not so much about the burst damage, but just basically the crowd control that he offers and just mixing things up. He's also pretty beefy himself, and that right click is no joke, so... Valkyrie bottles up a double damage and completes the Firebrand. She's on her way towards that ultimate orb, and eventually the Geometer's Bane not far behind. Not much in the way of Magnus gets a casual vestments. Definitely support that judgment call. Geo's got quite a bit of gold in the bank, though. 2,400. Let's see what he spends that on. Sackstone completed on Nymphora, going for that instead of the Astrolabe first this time. I guess that's just because she doesn't have the 350 GPM of a snowball game. But I'm sure it will come. Stacking up armor, keeping those minions up. As soon as they're feeling comfortable, they can definitely walk down these lanes and force fights. It's going to be tricky into this AoE thing. And maybe that's a little bit where Donova Brigada is running into problems. They had such a great start, but their team is definitely better suited to defending a push. But here we go. They're going to activate... perhaps this double damage. Look to make something happen with that. No, changing their mind really quickly. This Ward of Sight is going to go the full distance over the bottom river, despite being counter-warded. It lasted its full life cycle. So, 20 more seconds to make something happen with this double damage. At the very least... Geo's going to clear out the waves there and open up the gap to maybe put pressure onto this mid tower. Again, Legion team very angsty to force a fight. Maybe fearing that later game they're not going to be as strong as the Hellborn team. Eros goes to sniff something out, but Hellborn team retreats back toward their base. And I feel like Legion team shouldn't be putting so much pressure on. They do have this Prism activated, though. They want to utilize the abilities they have at hand. And unfortunately, they don't find anything. Instead, Hellborn team divides and conquers. That being said, they're approaching. They're about to meet up in the jungle. Valkyrie arrow goes out, doesn't connect. Belphegor luckily dodges it. Hell on Newerth charges building up, and Valkyrie pod keeping him full health. Rally gets a 3-man compel and a 1-man seismic slam, and the rest of the team collapse on top of it. Gladiator would not have been able to survive that. Regardless, now Valkyrie somehow the last man standing. Luckily, he's got a double damage and a haste rune. Good luck catching this Valkyrie at this point. Uh-oh. Okay, so she is behind the trees for that teleport. They don't care, though. They got the damage done. They won a fight where they were kind of outnumbered, but that was a beautiful initiation. Slaske again. We saw him shining. It didn't look too flashy, but there it was. Finally, an offensive play by him. Pebbles getting in position to drop that toss off. You see a lot of tower damage coming out there. Has anybody else seen an Andro swap? I haven't seen a single Andro swap this entire game. Defensive or offensive. And all I've seen is Andro warding well and then dying, but maybe it's just because these fights have been so broken up. We're going to see damage coming out into Rally. There goes the use of that. No arrow, though. Woo! Rally gets away. That's, again, calling this timing. And there goes that Valkyrie, just melts. She finally gets to eat a little bit of damage, and that's all it took. Magnus having a real problem. This would have been a perfect opportunity for him to drop an eruption in, but he doesn't really get off these easy portal keys. There's so many ways for them to stop it. They're looking for Geomancer. Ooh! Wow, Nymphora. I don't think she knows just how close that Zeal stun was. Geomancer walks away. It's one of those times they might need to reconsider their strategy. On Legion, you can tell that they don't want to take this super late, but they're just not as effective as initiating. It's a difficult game for either team to really take the initiation, but to follow up on a bad initiation has been successful for Hellborn to get themselves back into this game. Corrupted Disciple now completing that Dawnbringer. Geomancer is forced to use Dig defensively, backing out, but Pebbles could be in trouble. Doesn't get the Shrunken Head activated. The Compel will buy him a little bit of time, and the Volatile Pod combined with that Rally Call is enough to keep him alive. They finish off Andromeda, and the Valkyrie Prism going to be used. Belphegor, not the ideal target, though. A lot of spells going to be used. Magnus channeling that Eruption. Goes in with the blind blink and no Lav Surge follow-up because of the Shrunken Head. So a bold play there by Squad Bomb, but again, we're not seeing any synergy of these ultimates. Crystal Field, Eruption, Lava Surge, Dig, Call to Arms, Pitfall. 6 AoE abilities, 4 of which have stuns, 5 of which have stuns. And if those are coordinated on even 2 or 3 targets, they're going to win the team fight handedly. I don't know if Hellborn's just doing a great job staying split, or there's just a little bit of miscommunication, but Donalvo Brigada's starting to lose everything that they've built that was going for them early on in this game. Big items coming out, though. Pebbles, yeah, again, the Shrunken Head pickup, Rally, the Portal Key, which just makes all your Compel Seismic Slams that much easier with gap closers. Belphegor bulking up, probably building towards that Staff of the Master. He's got a ways to go. And Nymphora sitting on the same items, picks up a Casual Vestments herself. Probably just based on the fact that this Geomancer has been backline harassing her the whole time. Noteworthy, Geomancer picks up an Arcana. I'm not sure what he could be going for right now. Hellflower seems kind of trivial, but maybe useful. Both heroes grabbing an Arcana. That's one for the Gladiator as well. Valkyrie hasn't picked up a new item in a while since she finished that Geometer's Bane. Hellborn Kongor attempt being made here, and this time the Legion team doesn't want to let it go. You see they put enough. They don't have the vision they had last time, but the Geomancer was inside of that ward. Arrow coming out, doesn't connect. Good vision finally up on this Mesa from what you got, alerting them to the presence. And that is the Valkyrie Prism used. The Legion team making an attempt here, but Hellborn just heals up at the pod. They get right back down to it. They're in a position to maybe go for 2 Kongors if they think they need it. There goes the Valkyrie arrow, 5 seconds onto Rally, but they're all so far away. Very, very quick Kongor kill. And you can tell they got that confidence. They're feeling it right now. They're on their way to the losers bracket finals. Already up 1 game. This will be it if they can continue this.
Kongor has been slain.
Kongor kill for the Legion side, netting that gold bonus and minor buffs. But at this point, it's getting dangerous. Corrupted Disciple is almost untouchable in his current state. It's just this things you can't get this hero to, but they're looking for a pick. Another Valkyrie Prism going to be used. Arrow goes out in the vicinity, but no real targets available. Nymphora is going to use... Oh, no, they didn't use an Nymphora ultimate yet. They're all just walked down here to bottom lane, which means they still have it available to rejoin a skirmish perhaps at top if this becomes a base race situation. I really wouldn't want a base race against a Balfagor and a Nymphora, but... and a Pebbles for that matter, tossing. You see, Hellborn showing some respect. They know they've got this game in the bag if they don't make any huge mistakes. Nobody's showing on the map for Legion's side. They're going to back off and play this one safe. Even though we damn well know that it's going to take a lot for the other team to lose this. Or shift these tides, I'm sorry. So the Bound Eye on Geo. He's camped out here. Maybe we're going to see them finally pull together and drop these massive AoE abilities on the same targets. I can't tell if it's the playstyle or what, but I'm missing it. A lot of these Legion team abilities, the swap, haven't really seen it come into effect so much. But that's sometimes that's the name of the game. You got 2 big portal keys. Rally and Pebbles kind of just hanging back until they see the right moment to strike. Rally's in the area. What is a little greedy here? Magma's going to, blink and miss. They're going to break down. They're going to catch him here. Lava Surge down the hill. Rally's off the map right now. Cheating drops the Cosmic Slam onto Magnus. It's going toe-to-toe, hit for hit, but Rally has no support. And they have all the support in the world. Rally going off the map. You're disqualified from the tournament. I'm just kidding. A nice little pick off there for the Legion side. Let's see what it does. Bolstering their confidence. They're going to look to clean up one of the 2 remaining outer towers. That being said, they changed their mind. They're going to back off. Prism activated. Here we go. Lava Surge. This is the opening they've been hoping for. Onto Pebbles, but it's only one person. He activates the Shrunken Head, so none of the abilities come in. Now hell on Newerth, forcing everybody to back off. Geomancer can only run as he has nothing left to do. Everybody on this Hellborn team just chasing them down one at a time. Dismantling them. That's also a dead Andromeda. Arrow comes in, eating by a minion, and they are all full health, full mana. Major cooldowns expended by the Legion team. No Magnus to be seen. And Magnus is a 15 assist, so he's been there. He's been in the party. Valkyrie leaps in using that showdown from Gladiator. You see the ineffectiveness of these arrows. They're so hard to land. Magnus Eruption onto one target, and it's the beefy big boy Corrupted Disciple. Just a severe lack of coordination. No showdown into arrow. We're not seeing anything like that. Showdown into arrow, into a 5-second swap somebody behind your tower. Like, they have the tools, but there's just so much to account for. They're doing a good job of clearing the waves, though. That I will say. This is where they shine. It's much easier for them to defend up on this high ground and set up skills. But this point had to happen. And now it's just a matter of Hellborn team trying to push up the hill a couple of times. And then when they drop vision and they go for a target, They got to feel this out and find out what the best form of initiation is. But they are whittling the tower down little by little. Nice job, Balfagor, staggering his minions so they don't get the pitfall on the minions and the creep wave. Magnus comes in with a Lava Surge. 3-man now. It's a crystalline field. Rally gets locked down. Will he come back to life before he gets any spells off? Unfortunately, what looked like a great initiation just wasn't enough. There's no follow-up if the whole team doesn't come down on them. Hellborn team again. They will heal back to full. Even Rally stays alive. And the Satanic or Symbol of Rage on Corrupted Disciple nearing completion. There it is. Master's Legacy on Staff of the Master for Pebbles. And I don't know who he gave it to. Maybe Rally for a gigantic Cone Seismic Slam. Swappo aggressive on the Pebbles, but he's got that shrunken head. He is fearless. Just starts punching them with his big meaty rock hands. Hellborn team's going to retreat back here. Andro does have Swap available. Nope, she doesn't. Check Testa. I keep looking at these damn Andromeda illusions. So not used to our ulti spawning that. Meanwhile, 5-second arrow onto Rally. These Valkyrie arrows have been such on point, and he's still 14-1. But it's one of those things that Valkyrie isn't. Oh, Magnus channels an Eruption Lava Surge. That's decent onto CDM. Balfagor, 5-second follow-up onto Corrupted. Do they have enough damage to punish that? The pod, though, will come through. Andy has a Symbol of Rage. He's just going to activate it. Panty Suck's going to be pouring these auto attacks, fully regenerating himself back to full health. Valkyrie looks to finish Rally. She will get that pick off, so a decent exchange for Legion side. And we're starting to see some of that synergy. They only connected on the 2 heroes there with the big combos, and just that alone made the fight look completely different. Hellborn team, instead of standing their ground, healing up and fighting, they're on the retreat. Maybe they look to punish here with a turnaround, but they steal the Bound Eye. I'm not sure what else they could be doing here. I think they know that's the Magnus going to get spotted out. Lava Surge sets up the 5-second arrow, but that was just in time to save Balfagor. Not that he was in any immediate danger. After all that, 1 melee barracks falls in the top lane. And all of a sudden, the Legion team was on the aggressor there. So they do have what it takes to win these fights. But I will say, it took a lot to kill just the 1 or 2 targets there. Valkyrie working toward a wing bow. Where she will become a formidable force. By the time you leap in and you're pouring out those auto attacks, yes, this hero does hurt when she clicks you. Hellborn team just grouping up here. Any major pickups we need to notice? Balfagor grabs a Gnome's Wisdom. A lot of spellcasters on his team, so that aura will help. This just kind of grants them that extra sustain. Where did he give the Master's Legacy? Oh, he gave it to Balfagor. So that hell on Newerth. I figured that's what he would do. I do like it on Rally, too. But, yeah. Balfagor, just all you got to do is sit up there, stack up these charges, and no blink on him yet. So he's just going to have to energize his way into positioning. But we see a rotation made. Magnus trying to get in position. There is a ward up on the Legion side, so they see this. People veiled rotted on top of each other, on top of the Valkyrie Prism. Rally almost spotting them out there. So here's the problem they've run into last time they tried to push, but this time they have the benefit of top lane's going to be pushing it itself in. Somebody's going to have to back up and defend that wave. This could be an opening for them to put some pressure on the tower. Just kidding. They will back out. Kongor has respawned for them, seeming like they're strong enough to take Hellborn Kongor and Nymph TP, take the other one. That's a... Is there no 42-minute rune? I thought I was going to see where that ended up. Checking everybody here. Okay, I noticed Legion team's actually going to be the first ones to take this Kongor. Hellborn instead clearing out their jungle of any wards. Sheepstick now on Pebbles. So going for that extremely useful disable item. And that's a smart play, and it's a very team-oriented play, and a lot of people would maybe go for the demonic breastplate or something like that to kind of just make yourself hit that much harder. But one extra lockdown, I mean, almost all of their damage is coming from Valkyrie, so maybe that's his target. He gets the sheep off before the Geobane. And that kind of it. You see arrows sailing in left and right, trying to keep tabs on what the Hellborn team's doing. Quite obvious. We'll see who can make the most out of this Kongor buff. Storm Spirit picked up onto Rally. The Hellflower #1 completed on Gladiator. This 40-minute Kongor hitting like a truck. Gladiator almost goes down. 100 HP. See, the Hellborn team much healthier after that engagement. The sustain that they have from the gnomes, the spell casting, the pod, and just the all-around armor stack. They've got decent amount of auras. Very nice indeed, and they're going to go and do a bit of de-warding. He doesn't check the most common ward spot, though, so they're still going to be fighting against really good vision. Hunter getting the most out of this ward, and he's going to de-ward the de-ward. It's a game of inches here. It's Balfagor. Still no new item pickup. There's a nice wave about to push top, so if they can time this right, they can do some damage to the base. Legion team's going to have to ignore that wave at the top. They might lose a barracks. Prism comes out. There goes the tower damage. The quick nuke. Little by little, they start to whittle down the tower. It's a really tricky spot. Hellborn team can easily get wiped by the Wombo combo. Top lane. So this is the chance. The Valkyrie rotating in the top lane to defend that. It's kind of your opportunity to make a move, but you're so quick about it. There's another wave spawning top, this time with a catapult. 5-second arrow connects on an M4. Will Legion team do anything about this? No Andro swap, no nothing. They're going to let it happen. Let the chips fall again. This impending wave top, which is the benefit of getting that first barracks. It's going to make it Legion. It seems like it's going to be the only opening because we're at a bit of a stalemate. But somebody's going to have to clear that wave top or that barracks is going to fall. Keep their attention down here. This is very well played, very patient game by the Hellborn. They realize that entire Hellborn team is in their base. They're not getting any gold. They're up 20k at this point. And the Pebbles toss and the minion spam is just enough to... How does he just put one minion on the tower and then toss the rest of the minions onto that minion? Oh, there we go. They're going to swap Pebbles in, but he's going to get activated. Compel, keep him back. The Storm Spirit also avoiding the pitfall. Rally, an ultimate support hero in this moment. Celestium survives all of this engagement, and now he's able to jump in, dropping down on the Valkyrie with that sheep stick, activating a shrunken out of his zone. This was so calculated by the Hellborn team. Everything going according to plan. And two of the major heroes fall for Legion's side. No buybacks available. Donover Bagata calls the concede vote. You gotta hand it to Busk, no GG here. They stuck through this game when it looked like a 12-0 Valkyrie was dominating them, fought their way back in, and executed it perfectly to the finish.